And hello, Hornets. And today we're going to be going over and looking at some Ready Workbook stuff. Yay! So, Lesson 5, Part 1, page 45. So, if you don't have your workbook out, you need to go ahead and get it out. And if you need to pause the video while you do that, then by all means, pause the video while you do that. So, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to open to my page 45 in the workbook, and we're going to be working on citing evidence to support inferences. The very first thing we're going to do, as just a reminder, kiddos, if I do it, you do it. If I write it in red, then you need to write it in pen, pencil, marker, whatever works in your workbook. If I underline or highlight it, you need to underline or highlight it. If I circle it or I box it, you need to circle it or box it. The best thing about the video is you can pause me and you can keep going on your own. So let's go ahead and get started. And the first thing we're going to do is look at our title, and we're going to box it because it's one of those first things we want to look at. And it tells us we're citing evidence to support inferences. All right. So we're going to rewrite it at the top of our page just to get that in our brain. So once again, we're going to rewrite citing evidence to support inferences at the top of our page. Then our next step is going to be to go through and define what each of these parts of the title are. So first thing we have is citing. And citing means that we're going to use quotes from the text. Notice, guys, that I've even put quotation marks around this to open and close it just to remind you what quotes from the text will look like when you write it. You have to actually pull things from the text and quote it. And we call that, furthermore, evidence because we're going to use proof from the text. We're citing it, which means it's not just a detail. It is there. I can put my finger on it. And we're going to furthermore keep going and add that inference means educated guess, which means it's not directly stated. So you're going to have to kind of guess just a little bit about what it means. Now, our next thing is that we're going to look at this paragraph that's going to talk to us a little bit about analysis, explicit details, and inferencing. So, have you ever looked at something that interested you, such as a hot air balloon or a telescope, and tried to figure out how it works? An analysis and an examination of how the different parts of something work together. When you read a story, you analyze how its parts, which are the characters, setting, and events, we also call that plot, work together to create meaning. Once again, analysis means we're going to break something apart, break it down. So make sure you've highlighted the definition of analysis yellow and that you have written break apart out next to it to remind yourself what analysis means. In the second paragraph, it says that some story details are explicit or clearly stated, which means that we can put it in quotation marks, such as Jessie was excited about going to the museum as an example of an explicit detail. You know that Jessie is excited and why. We can actually, if you look over here where I've now added, use quotes from the text to prove that Jessie is excited. The story gives us information that can be less direct, and if that were the case, we would have to make an inference or an educated guess based on the details in the story and on your own knowledge to figure out what's going on. And once again, guys, inference means an educated guess. Now, we're going to look at the bottom of the page where we're going to read about Pete and his dad and about how Pete's feeling.